You are standing in the aisle at PetSmart or PetCo trying to figure out which type of aquarium filter is best for your new setup. The boxes all shout the exact same promises at you: crystal clear water and silent operation. So you look at the GPH, the gallons per hour, and you pick the strongest motor for your tank size. But here is the problem. A sterile filter isn't a clean filter. It is a starving tank. Trusting the motor speed while ignoring the inside of that plastic box is exactly why beginner tanks crash weeks later. Today, we are breaking down the 5 filter types sitting on that pet store shelf. We will expose the cartridge subscription trap, explain why motor speed is an illusion, and show you exactly how to hack whatever filter you buy into a true biological engine without wasting your money. Welcome back to Fish Tank Mastery, and let me be very clear right up front. We have zero sponsors. We don't sell you products, we just give you the objective biological truth. Let's get into it. The biological bottleneck? Aquarium filter media. This is where the pet store logic quietly turns against you. The single reason filters fail isn't a weak motor or a cheap impeller. It is a complete lack of biological media space. Your filter is not a mechanical trash can designed to just trap physical dirt. The motor's only job is to push the water. But the actual filtering is done by invisible beneficial bacteria, and those bacteria strictly need physical surface area to live on. When you buy a filter with a massive motor but tiny media capacity, you are creating a biological bottleneck. The water is rushing through the plastic box so fast, but there is virtually no bacteria inside to actually process the ammonia. Or worse, when you follow the instructions and throw away that carbon cartridge every month, you are literally throwing away your nitrogen cycle. You send the system right back to day one. The water might look clean for a day, but the invisible toxins are quietly building up because there is no biology left to process them. Small tanks don't fail faster, small mistakes just don't dilute. So when you stand in front of that aisle, you aren't looking for the strongest motor. You are looking for maximum biological media capacity. Let's break down the 5 options sitting on that shelf and see exactly which one fits your system. Internal filters versus sponge filters. First, you will see the internal submersible filters. They look very sleek. They hide quietly in the corner of the tank underwater. But this is the space invader. It takes up physical swimming room inside your glass, and ironically, it offers the absolute lowest biological media space of all the options. The sponge inside is usually the size of a matchbox. Because it is so small, it physically chokes its own flow rate within a week. For a single betta fish in a 5-gallon tank, it works perfectly fine because the bioload is incredibly minimal. But for a 20-gallon community tank, it is a biological disaster waiting to happen. If the water looks crystal clear, would you even think to check if the biological capacity is collapsing? Which brings us to the exact opposite approach, the sponge filter. You won't find flashy high-tech boxes for these. They are ugly. They sit right in the middle of your tank, and they are powered by a vibrating air pump. But the sponge filter is biologically invincible. There is no mechanical water polishing. There are no expensive cartridges. It is just one massive block of biological media that is constantly oxygenated by the air bubbles. If you are keeping cherry shrimp, breeding fish, or running a low-flow planted tank, this is the safest filter in the building. It doesn't suck up baby shrimp, and it never loses its bacteria unless you boil it. It is the ugly workhorse of the aquarium hobby. Hacking the standard hang-on back filter. Then we have the standard hang-on back cartridge filters, the aqueons, the the top fins, the standard marina boxes. This is the subscription trap. The motor is usually fine, the flow is decent, but the internal design is terrible. It is mathematically designed to force you to buy replaceable carbon pads for the rest of your life. And here is the biological truth. Activated carbon is designed to absorb chemicals, meaning its microscopic pores clog and degrade way too fast to ever support a permanent bacterial colony anyway. If you run this exactly as the box says, you will crash your cycle every single month. But here is the secret. You don't have to use their cartridges. You buy this filter strictly for the plastic shell. You throw the carbon pad in the trash on day one, and you stuff the empty back chamber with a coarse aquarium sponge and ceramic bio rings. You never throw them away? You just rinse them lightly in old tank water. By hacking the box, you turn a cheap subscription trap into a highly functional biological engine. If hacking pet store gear to save money and protect your fish makes sense to you, hit that subscribe button. We break down systems here, not just products. Advanced hang-on backs and canister filters. But if you want massive media volume without the ugly sponge sitting in your tank, you move to the advanced hang-on back, the Aqua Clears, and the Seachem titles. This is the open layout. You buy this filter because the manufacturer actually wants you to build your own media stack. They give you the mechanical sponge, the biological media, and a massive empty basket. There are no proprietary cartridges to subscribe to. The motor pulls water from the bottom, forces it through the sponge, and bathes the biological media at the top. For most tanks between 10 and 40 gallons running a school of tetras or live bearers, this is the absolute sweet spot. It gives you the biological stability of a large system while hanging quietly out of sight behind the glass. Then you look at the bottom shelf, the big heavy boxes, the canister filters, Fluval, Marineland, Aheim. This is the biological heavyweight. It sits under your tank, completely out of sight, holding massive amounts of media, huge capacity, huge water flow. If you are keeping messy monster fish, large African cichlids, or a heavily stocked goldfish tank, a standard hang-on back will eventually lose the biological race. You need the canister. But a canister filter is a delayed responsibility. Because it is hidden under the cabinet, it is very easy to ignore. And when a massive media chamber fills with physical waste over 6 months, it slowly turns into a nitrate factory. The flow rate might look perfectly fine, but the organic sludge inside is secretly working against your water chemistry. It doesn't fail quickly. It degrades your water quality until algae completely takes over the tank. The canister is incredibly powerful, but it demands strict maintenance discipline. You have to open it and rinse the sponges before the biology turns toxic. How to fix your current aquarium filter. Aquarium filter. Do it yourself. This advice wasn't wrong. It just skipped what happens later. The pet store wants you to focus on the hardware, but the hardware is just life support for the bacteria. By the time you notice your fish gasping at the surface after a routine filter cleaning, the damage is already done. The ammonia spike is already there. If you bought the basic cartridge filter and your tank crashed after a cleaning, it wasn't your fault. You didn't misread the instructions. The cardboard box literally told you to do it. You don't necessarily need to go buy a $200 canister filter today to fix your water. You just need to look at whatever filter you currently own and ask yourself if the beneficial bacteria have a permanent, undisturbed place to live. Stop buying cartridges. Buy a generic sheet of coarse aquarium sponge, cut it to size, and let the system finally stabilize. Filters don't keep fish alive. The biological media inside them does. If you want to know exactly how to set up that media so you never have to cycle your tank again. Watch our filter media breakdown next. Until next time, keep your systems balanced, your filters hacked, and your curiosity flowing.